to get started, I would love, while we give people just a couple minutes if people are struggling with parking, I would love to hear some highlights. And I'm gonna be specific. Yeah, let's just talk about. I don't get to do this with this group. If there has been a highlight in your business over the last couple of weeks, Silva's gonna kick us off. If you can just share a quick highlight, we're gonna save it to one highlight, even if you have five. Yeah, just a quick little highlight, and highlights, just so you guys know, don't include buts. There's not like, I got but, like, we don't do that, okay? So highlight is just good, and then period at the end of it. So Silva, kick us off, please.
I have a client who has a house and a lot combined, but because he combined them, they won't let him have permits this year to build on it. But he's a family of five and like this little house we really wanted to build, and his dream was to be able to buy the lot next to his lot. But it's owned by this LLC, and it's this guy, he has all these properties, he's mindful, I thought it's not gonna work. I'm like trying to be like, well, think about some other lots. Like I'll send him a letter, I'll send him an email, I'm not gonna call him because he's not on my call list. But then we got hold of him and he's willing to sell, and we're now under contract.
Going the extra mile. That's what real estate looks like.
Our first offer, he was like, no, like we're miles apart. I was like, don't give up yet. And then the next day he's like, I just got your letter and I feel so bad. I really want to make this work. And we're like, well, we do too. So we came up and we met and it was so good.
Oh, good.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Another highlight. I was gonna say, I know somebody else in here that has a highlight, but go ahead. I don't want to spill their buzzer.
It's just an easy one. I have a client who I sold her house. She's kind of all over the place. Oh, I want to build, I want to buy, and then she's like, I'm moving to South Carolina, so I did a referral, and so like I'm gonna get a referral fee, and it was like the easiest thing ever. For referral.
And yes, and she's not your problem. I mean,
No,
she's not your.
No,
I'm messing around, but at the same
no,
time, I'm
she's
serious.
a little, like, you have to know how to handle her. She is a little much, but,
No, she's someone else's problem. We just get that check. That is awesome. I love it. Anyone? I can take one more. Anyone else? Anyone?
Close
I know.
Yeah.
Seven. Really?
close
Well,
to-
we're not as close as your Facebook friends. We're not as important. Can you please share?
Sure, close to double-sided deal.
Awesome. Two double sides. So are you saying that was four sides altogether? Look, and and you were on also, that was.
Well, and one of them also bought a house, so it's actually a total of 5 sides, but one of them was like a month ago, so.
He's like, I don't count that one. That is awesome. I love, congratulations. That's a delicate dance. And I mean, you danced, you waltzed the heck out of that one. So good job. I love it. Well, we are, was anybody else dying to get one in before I shifted?
Billy, Johanna?
Oh, yeah, Johanna, even though we can't see you, you can take yourself off Zoom if you have a highlight you want to share. I mean, off of.
I do have a highlight. I wanted to highlight our team client care event that we had a couple weeks ago towards the end of August. It was so exciting and great to see so many people. I think we had over 500 folks come out, and it was amazing to just be able to have some fun with folks. And hopefully folks will remember having fun.
Of them were yours.
Say that again.
I said, I heard 450 of those people were yours.
I would say a good 300 people of mine signed up, but maybe about 20 of them showed. So I'll take it.
Well, that was a good sign up. That means 300 people got fully engaged with you, which is freaking awesome. So that is great. Awesome. Thank you, Johanna. Thank you. And Johanna, can you let me know, can you see my screen on your Zoom?
Yeah, is it YouTube?
Yes, cool.
Yeah.
All right, so a couple things we jump in, we're gonna kind of be interactive with this video. Couple things that I need from you. Number one, our training is coming from this. I got to kind of be a fly on the wall to watch one of Chicago's Accelerate meetings, and I just loved the topic so much. I was like, we could use that. Like, we could learn, benefit from that. So I do want, we are going to learn, but I also want you to kind of try to be double-minded here and get a feel. This is one of the trainings. This is part of how it feels with Chicago with their Accelerate group. And I'm going to be reaching out to you guys here and there, or you guys can totally reach out to me proactively, asking like, what are some different things like you, just getting help on how, getting your input on making this open to all affiliates and possibly the Chicago market. So there's going to be changes, obviously, but what things we could change, what things we should keep the same. So definitely learn, but I do want you to kind of feel like, oh, okay, would this be good? So yeah, this is a normal meeting for them on their weekly things. Natanya, did you have your hand up for something?
Oh, no, I'm trying out some lip.
Oh, okay, Natanya. All right, so I do feel like she was flipping me off. Like, yeah, I'm so glad that people on Zoom don't have to witness this. Okay, so and those for you on Zoom, you now have a handout in your email that Gigi just sent to the whole Accelerate. If you go ahead and open up your binder packet that is with you, what they did is, because while the guest was speaking, one of my favorite managing brokers out of the Chicago area, while he is teaching and talking and training, one of their staff was so eloquently like typing up all this stuff, and so they got scripts later. So I told her to send them to me so we could have them while you're looking at the video. So feel free to write on this, take notes. Like if you guys are like, oh, Crystal, pause it, we can pause it too, because I really think some of it is just that juicy good when I have one caveat, and I'm looking at Andy.
What?
Andy, thank you for looking back. Sometimes I just need the interaction. I just need it. No, I have one little thing. You're gonna hear an example of an $800,000 house. I need you to not let your mind go to, well, I don't sell that. Like, it has nothing to do with nothing. Make sense? I want you to think 200, 300, it doesn't matter, that he just used that number randomly. And who knows, that might be your thing coming up soon, right? If that's your goal. I know some of you guys want to get into the luxury market. So, all right, so we are gonna go ahead and begin, and let's follow along in here. And I'm gonna probably pause it myself, but if you ever want me to just pause it, just go ahead and say it.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. We are in the dog days of August, I feel like. I know a lot of us are getting kids off to school. Angela had to run and get her little ones off before she came back to jump on with all of us. So we are excited. We've got a really great session this morning. We've got a fabulous guest that we are going to introduce shortly, but wanted to first dial into our July feedback. And this is, again, some of the great surveys and feedback we got from all of you. As last month, we were really focusing on the idea of developing an awesome marketing plan. And we've got some really, really great success stories. I think, Angela, today we have actually 4 different success stories instead of 3. That's
We do. At our time with you, we have some really great ones.
We had some awesome ones. All right, so first one is.
I just really like having this clicker. I do want you to really, at this beginning, this was my desire for you guys. I don't have the tech background, desire, or love to do this kind of stuff for you guys. Your Zooms were supposed to look like this. Not gonna happen with Crystal White. I can't do all of that. However, I want you to think about that feel, but some of these success stories they're gonna share of these four, I think are very pertinent, or I would just fast forward over. Amy will be coming in October to share some of the things that she shared with them that they had that success from. Does that make sense? So that's the only reason why I'm having you take a look at it.
Katia Samra out of the Orland Park office. Loved her story. Let me get this full slide here. She said she spent a lot of time revising her marketing plan and her listing presentation. Whoa, hold on. And the hard work has paid off. She won 2 new listings and she has 2 listing appointments coming up next week. So loved that Katia decided to really lean into getting her marketing plan ready to go. And she's already seeing some really amazing success. So great job. Who's our next person, Angela?
Our next person
She's
is
gonna
Ms.
train
Mel
us on this in
Worsley from the
October.
Oak Park office. So I love that Mel was leaning into using QR codes, which is what we taught a lot about at our learning labs this summer. So Mel said, I got a lead from a QR code I included on a just sold postcard. I was shocked and excited to log into @opens and see that there was one name added to the free CMA Open I had created for the code. I hadn't had success connecting with this person yet, but still, wow, what an effective way to put a modern spin on old school real estate marketing. So I love that you're using some new school stuff, even though QR codes are a little bit old school. They kind of became unpopular for a little while, but they're like back in the game now. But congrats, Mel, that's so awesome. I love that you're using something new, some new marketing tactics. We have another good one from Sarah Norgal, Western Springs office. Now, this is a long one, but it's a really good one. And on the next slide, Amy, I actually have some pictures that Sarah shared with me. So Sarah said, I headed up a local sponsorship in our office with 6 other agents. It was a New Village event with music, food, and drinks that we co-sponsored with a few other small businesses. As a member of our local business association and super close friends with the president, I was able to secure the first series event sponsorship for our office. I'm a former VP at Leo Burnett, and I also have an MS in integrated marketing communications. So this was the perfect opportunity for me to combine that background with everything we are learning. And our team basically owned the entire night. We marketed the event with custom e-blasts and social media created by marketing. We took the Summer of Love theme and really blew it out with a photo booth, face and chalk painting, free popsicles, cool float giveaways. I even hand painted a Summer of Love mural and was able to leave it at our Tower Green for almost a week. The event was a huge success and most of our clients thought it was invite only and that we organized and paid for the whole thing. The best part was collaborating with other agents in the office. We all brought our own unique ideas to the table, and by collaborating and attending the event together, I was able to position myself right next to some of the top producers in the office. We also got some great press in the local paper and on social media, basically free advertising. Since we all split the cost, the entire event was $250. So
Wow.
I can't, Amy, if you go to the next slide, you can see some cool pictures that we included. I cannot love this more. What a unique, creative, interesting way to really do some grassroots stuff in the neighborhood. So congratulations. It's just such a cool idea. So awesome, right?
Love it. So great.
Yeah.
Yes.
That sounds so much like us, things that we like to do in neighborhoods. What made me want you guys to see this part was the idea of sharing. I don't know if you guys think that thought enough to combine your events sometimes. I mean, and let's be honest, like Cameron and Megan live in the same neighborhood. Sometimes, you know, like we're competition, but kind of not, like, you know what I mean? We live in the same neighborhoods. Me and Trisha, friends, and sell in some of the same areas. Our favorite, best event, like one of my favorite events I've ever done, we did it together. We rented out the movie theater in Glendale, you know, to do Lion King. So think that thought, look at the price they spent, but it makes everything look so much bigger. So if you ever have questions, please feel free to ask me, but think that new thought. Some of the newer agents, Natanya was part of that. I helped them do their first Christmas, like their first event as brand new agents. They came together, their clients loved it. It looked amazing. but there's no way one of them could have put that on by themselves. Does that make sense? And so just wanted you guys to think that thought, like, when you do it together, this makes it bigger. You don't have to be on a team necessarily. Does that make sense to do that? Even though some of you guys are on teams. Yes, Stephanie.
Well, I mean, definitely reach out to your vendors and even the title company for additional assistance. We did that with our summer event, and Caliber kicked in, Foundation sponsored the Shades truck, and it was awesome. So those are expenses I didn't have to pay for, but that meant I could put more money into other things like prizes.
Yeah. Totally. No, that makes perfect sense, but it just makes it look bigger and makes your company just get bigger recognition too.
Super creative. And then who else? We've got our other winner out of Rick's office, actually.
I really
who
like
we're
this one.
introducing in a minute out of ELP.
Yeah, so Sarah McLennan, so this one's a little personal, but I really loved this whole thing. So let's read it quick. Life this summer has been rough. I've been dealing with unimaginable stress, and I don't think I would have gotten this far without Accelerator. Although I haven't been keeping up as much as I'd like to, my head is still in the game, and I still have clients and work despite all that's going on. I have been able to hold everything together because I've learned how to organize and prioritize systems within my business. If I hadn't learned how to implement these steps, I am certain my business would have tanked this summer. In addition, I'm beyond grateful for my little group, as their support has been invaluable. They've sent me chicken soup once. It's like a real estate support group, and I often visualize all of us sitting in a church basement, drinking coffee and chain smoking, ripping about the market. It's actually nothing like that, and I don't think any of us smoke, but the point is I love it. And I love that I can actually say that work is great when people ask me how I am and I don't know how to respond. I am fortunate to be here, and I'm fortunate that At has my back. Sarah, I love this. I'm so happy that you love our Accelerate program. I'm sure Amy feels the same way. And it's not always about business, right? It's about our life as people. And I'm so happy to hear that your group has been there for you and that you feel like At has your back, which we do. So congratulations on your successes, and we will be sending you all some nice Visa gift cards.
Yes, spend them on yourselves. You deserve it.
Yes, for sure.
But I love these. God, these are such good ones this month. We are digging deep, people, as we are getting into almost the fourth
Right, we're going
quarter
into
of
the
the year. But I am really excited to introduce our guest coach, a colleague, a friend, just an all-around fabulous guy and extremely talented. Rick Sobin, who is our VP of Brokerage Services for our East Lincoln Park office and our Gold Coast office in the city. He manages, close to 600 agents and does it extremely well. His people love him. So welcome, Rick. We're really excited to have you as our guest, and we're gonna find out a few fun facts about Rick Sobin before we dial into that brain of his and find out what he thinks about amazing negotiating skills. So Rick was licensed in 2005, and he's actually held a managing broker position since 2007. So lots of experience sitting here with us today. And he's mostly managed large producing offices, similar to where he's at now. But what I love is kind of his prior life before he got into real estate. He used to be a camera technician in the film industry, although I have seen him in front of the camera, and he's pretty darn impressive. And the coolest is that he plays keyboards in the same band he's been in since high school. I've yet to see you play though, Rick, so I want to know the next time you guys are in concert where you're jamming.
Yeah, there's a reason why no one knows where we play. Very important.
I love it. I love it. Well, we're going to jump in and kick off with some questions, but we want to encourage all of you, as we always do, for any questions that come up that you want Rick to answer, make sure to throw them in the chat, because we will definitely try to get to that. So I'm actually going to stop the share right now so that we can see Rick full screen. And let's dive in. So this month, Rick, we are focusing on negotiations. And, I think that the three of us can all agree that that is probably one of the most critical skills that an agent can develop over time. And I know that you've seen the lion's share of good negotiations, bad negotiations. Tell us what you think are the traits for your best negotiating agents. Like, so for agents that you feel do a really good job when it comes to negotiating, what type of traits or skills do these folks possess?
It's all about confidence. It's all about the confidence in your answer and believing in what you're saying. And it also has to do with leaning into conflict. You know, clients are going to push you in directions that aren't good for them. And a lot of times we think, okay, I'll just let them make a mistake and then we'll fix it later. It's harder for them to have confidence in your advice if you didn't give it up front and you weren't more, you didn't push harder to give the right answer from the beginning.
And to kind of tie into that, is there certain like language or phrases, like, because, you know, while we coach our agents in negotiating, you're in a position where you're negotiating every day, right? Whether it's working through things with or on behalf of your agents, dealing with clients, you know, are there certain like key phrases or terms, you know, maybe that you use to do sort of that, like I like to call it like level setting, right? To kind of get them to a spot where they will listen to you and sort of take your guidance.
Yeah, I think it's important when agents say things like, it's important that I do my job, and that even though these are things you might not want to hear, I have to be forward with you and give you the best advice possible. I think things like that are important for agents to say to clients. And also, you know, we can do things that actually end up damaging your listing. So I just need you to understand what those consequences are. And or you may sell a home 3 to 5 times in your lifetime, where I'm selling a home 3 to 5 times a month. So
please really lean into that. I can't tell you how many agents I've talked to that really need that. First of all, talking about the confidence, right, Billy? But leaning in, let's be honest, how many sometimes feel like, I mean, well, they're the client, like, I mean, it's their house. I kind of need to go with what they say. Would we say sometimes we feel in that position? And sometimes it depends on the client too, huh? Like we really, like sometimes they can be, let's be honest, sometimes they can be a little intimidating, especially if it's an investor or someone who has sold houses or it's an expensive house, right? So I love the way he worded this with saying, where's this at? Because I'm so glad that she typed it out. About being forward, like that I have to be. Yes, where it says level setting with clients, it's important that I do my job. You guys, you can just blame it on that. How many of you have ever been working with me through something and you've heard me say, it is always important to tell them up front before they need the information, because when you wait till later, they feel like you're trying to sell them. When you wait till later to say, well, we really need to reduce the price because it's going to hurt you, when you're in the moment, if you didn't give them that beforehand, they feel like you did not set them up, or sometimes they feel like you're just trying to get me to hurry up and come down off. In case you didn't know, that's what sellers talk to each other about. Their strategy is always just to reduce the price. They don't work, they just want you to reduce your price. Does that make sense? So when you are telling them, it doesn't matter if they listen to you or not, or take your advice, but you gotta say it beforehand so that when you do need to say it again, it's not the first time they heard it. Does that make sense? And so I do love where I just cut off from him is I really like that third under level setting. I love that third phrase. You may sell a home 3 to 5 times in your lifetime. I'm doing it 3 to 5 times a month. That's not a brag, but you guys get that. That's like, look, I just want to make sure I'm letting you know what I know. And so let me go back to, okay. Because I literally listened to this and then did it to a client yesterday. And I was like,
so I see all the negotiations. I see the pricing strategies. I see the buy side strategies much more often than you do. So I'm going to ask you to take a leap of faith and have a little faith in me.
I love that. And we talked about that, Amy, in our last session about falling on the sword. Remember, that was a big point. fall on the sword before they can stab you, putting it all on the table and maybe having some tough conversations, you know, but eliminating any of the nonsense that can come by holding all of that back. So I love that.
I wanted to jump in one quick thing. Please remember, everyone, there's cameras everywhere now. So when you're saying that you were at the showing and they really, the agent really went in with a lockbox, like they already know that. Or the door sensor on the alarm system knows when the door opened and closed. There's a lot of ways that what I'm really trying to say is the tiny littlest of white lies can turn into something bigger down the road. So just always be straight up with people.
Own it, right? Yeah.
Own it.
If I can,
Rick, what do you think?
I've been wanting to say this, so I'm glad that they gave me this reason.
Letting a client make a bad decision. You know,
Okay, cameras, guys, especially if you have a listing, you have somebody doing an open house for you, first of all, don't make it sound like, you don't have to alert your clients, hey, someone else is doing it, but don't make it like you're doing it if you're not, just don't bring it up. But let the agent know, please watch what you're saying in the house. I know you may feel like, oh, that's kind of common sense. You don't know that, don't assume. Because I've actually had a client come back and be like, I saw that realtor that you had during my open house doing X, Y, and Z, talking, and I heard them saying blah, 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 like talking to, as they were letting people in. It was very obvious that they were there to get clients and not worried about selling the house. You guys, so number one, you guys make sure you remember that, but then also when people are doing an open house for you, remind, because that was an ouch for me this year, that one of my clients brought that up to me.
You know, really allowing them to do something that's not right for them. Now, it is going to happen from time to time, but you have to push back an adequate amount and be firm. Again, I just need to go back to that. And or people are just not being truthful. That's from any side, from the seller side, from the buyer side, from either agent side. Those can usually derail a negotiation, because as you get further down the line, something's just not right and you can't correct it because someone's not being truthful.
Yeah, so I mean, those are, you know, the things to be aware of and make sure that you don't do. You know, what are some of the actions that you feel like create successful negotiations? You know, is there anything, you know, as I'm, let's say, a newer agent and I'm kind of trying to figure out, you know, because kind of like anything, practice makes perfect, right? And if I go into this knowing, hey, these are some of the things I always need to think about when I go into a negotiation. You already mentioned one thing, which is confidence. Now, that's something that we can try and practice, but some of that is just built over time. The more you do it, the more confident you do become. But if I'm sort of a newer agent, what are some of the other things that I can be thinking about ahead of time to make sure that my negotiations will go smoothly as I am practicing and getting better at this?
The most important thing is figuring out the personalities involved. What is my buyer personality? What's my seller personality? And you can really only judge that one generally by what's in the apartment and what the original pricing came out at. What is the personality of the listing agent? What's the personality of the buyer agent? And once you figure out egos or amiable or type A, as soon as you know what the chessboard layout looks like, then you'll get better at moving the pieces around. Sometimes you gotta let people have a win. Sometimes you're in a great position because the other person's just not doing a great job for their client and you can kind of push them around.
So I have one kind of follow-up question to this, because I know in my experience when I was a newer agent, you know, or, you know, you can be in the business for a long time, but there's always that agent who postures that they've been in the business for 40 years and they know things, you know, and they sometimes are condescending, let's say, you know, in the negotiation. I'm curious if you have any language or any thoughts on how best to handle an agent like that to get it to a place where it can be level set and you can still have a win or be able to negotiate successfully with that type of individual.
This is
just
under
don't
that
take
handling
it
the
personally.
posturing.
You're not buying the home, you're not selling the home. And sometimes those agents that give you the, I've been doing this for 40 years, are some of the easier ones to pull a fast one on because they're not paying attention and they have been doing it for 40 years and they don't want to keep doing it. So don't take it personally. Let some of those snide comments just rub off your shoulder and just keep your head in the game. Let them play their game, but you're also going to play your game. It's another chess piece. You know, okay, you've got this type of agent on the list side, and let's see what we're going to do to get my buyer a good deal.
Yeah, I love that. I always say, like, it's not our emotions that should be coming into play, right? I mean, the whole reason why we're there is so that the emotions stay out of the negotiation. Right?
Sure. Keith, I like what you said about absolutely. A lot of time it'll just be the slightest thing that someone says or does, and you've got them.
Yep.
Yeah, we have some good comments in the chat. So we have Karen said, so much of this business is reading people on Psychology 101. It absolutely is. Lauren says, knowing your own personality and how that works with others is so good too. Like the DISC assessment or strength finders, it helps me adapt my negotiations based on how I may be received if that makes sense.
Highly recommend, highly. If you got a little bit of, if you have a little bit of downtime, a little bit, study up on personality. Don't wait for me to do the training for the brokerage. Study up on the DISC personality test. There's a lot of personalities. I personally believe DISC is the one that is the most effective for salespeople because it is the only personality assessment that you can ask someone one question, and when they give the answer, you immediately know what personality style they are, so you know which direction to go. So, and that question is, tell me a little bit about you, and when they answer, it like gives a cheese. So I would recommend, that's part of the people skills. You guys heard me saying that, right? The 4 areas that you want to strengthen yourself in, people skills. So in the work, don't worry, that's one of those works that you can do is kind of studying up on your personality skills.
Yes, it
Yeah.
makes sense.
Agents, you have to know what your own triggers are, because if another agent is good at figuring out what your triggers are, they're going to push your buttons. So just don't, try to figure out what those are and don't let them do it.
Yeah. So Rick, we had a couple weeks ago, we had an assignment for all of our agents in our Accelerate program where they had to create, we had 4 objections that we gave them, which I shared with you recently, and they had to create responses to these objections. And I thought it would be really fun to kind of get your take, your responses to these objections. So I'm wondering if we could kind of like walk through them one by one and see how an expert like yourself would respond to these objections. Are you good with that?
Let's do it.
Okay, cool. So the first one was a potential seller who says, I am afraid that if I sell right now, there will be nothing to buy and I will have nowhere to go. I'm going to wait to sell.
Yeah.
What would your expert response be?
I would say, one of the hardest things in life is selling a property. Nothing about it is convenient and nothing about it is fun. So I can understand why you don't want to be inconvenienced, but there's one important thing that happens if you are in a better position, which is if you do sell now and you're in a temporary place, and we can talk about options for that, you're in a much stronger position in a low inventory market to purchase a property. Because what we're going to be up against if you stay in the current position you're in right now is someone else or some other buyers are in that better position, and it could be a long uphill battle for us if we don't put ourselves in a spot where we can jump on a property quicker. Now, I don't want to push you. I'm not here to do that, and maybe you're not ready to sell yet, but let's think about a few options that could make it easier for you. That's where I would go. And then I would talk about corporate housing, Airbnb. What about doing a destination? Go live in New Mexico for a couple months? Go do something fun with your life instead of why does it have to be a negative?
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you, I think, hit it on the head with the idea of just offering up options, right? I think as agents, sometimes we feel like we have to go in and solution for them. And I think really our job is to lay out all the choices, the pros and cons of each, and then you give them the choices and they can, it's ultimately their decision, right? And I think that's what you sort of laid out here.
Yeah, and for everyone on the call, please know that if you're always going into every situation with one thing in mind, I just am here to help this person. I'm here to help this buyer buy, or I'm here to help this seller sell. It generally works out. But if you're running the commission numbers and you're looking at, oh, 900,000, I'm gonna make this after taxes, it generally doesn't work out because those people can smell that a mile away. It'll be the slightest comment you make or the slightest thing you do, people pick up on that.
Yeah, when they feel like you're pushing them, right? Because it's your agenda, not theirs.
Yep.
All right, this is one that we're seeing a lot. Here's another question. So current seller that wants to list their property at an unreasonable and unrealistic price because of the current seller's market or that perception that they have, really coming from what we saw last year. What is your conversation with that seller?
Conversation goes like this. I understand you want to try that, but I just really need for you to know what the risks are. The first most important thing is after reviewing the comps that we went over, we really don't have anything to support that price. So when it comes time to negotiate, we're not really going to have anything there to support what that number is. But more importantly, the longer you leave a listing on the market overpriced, it actually damages the listing. And 9 out of 10 times you actually end up selling it for less than if you would have priced it correctly the first time. So we think we're going to try to get a little bit more, but in reality, we're going to end up with less. Another thing to think about is, depending on where we're going to price this, if we're staying within a quadrant, like where people want to search. So I think the home is worth 800 and you want to list for 810 or 815, I'm okay with that because people will generally search up to 825. But if you want to go to 830 or 840 or 850 and you're in another quadrant, that's a price I just can't support. And most importantly, even if we found someone, I think the home's worth 800. If we found someone to pay 840, 850, there's even a higher chance that we are not going to get this past the appraiser. So you're going to be even more disappointed when you think you have 840, but the appraiser comes in and now we're at 800 again. So as long as you understand what those risks are, I'm interested in having a conversation with you, but I really would not want you to do that for the long term, what could be a long-term loss.
Rick, is there ever a situation where you recommend an agent kind of work something into the contract where maybe, we price it and we test it out for a couple of weeks, but if we don't get any showings or any offers in those first 2-3 weeks, we're going to lower the price? When do you recommend a strategy like that?
It's really pointless because it's unenforceable. You can't force someone to lower the price, so I don't recommend putting that in the contract. I think it's more about the conversation. And then it's more about one of two things. Does the seller want the money? And if they do, then they need to have patience. If the seller needs to sell quickly, then they can't have the money. That is the conversation with the seller.
You guys, that is priceless. This is the example. This is what I use with my clients, which was so helpful for me yesterday. Can't have both. They need to know which one they're going for. Do they want all the money? They want to sit and wait. Also, that whole comment about it damaging your listing, I really hope you guys are absorbing this up, because some of you are already kind of doing it, but there are certain key words in there like support that really make the difference when you're talking. And so this is why I want to try to have the scripts so you can kind of practice them and get familiar and make it your own, but
What's the priority here? And then we're going to talk more strategy.
I love that. And Karen just asked, can we get the script? Please, Karen, I think it's worth, I will listen to this recording and I'll type up something for you guys because I really love what you just said. Rick, you have such good ideas. So yes, I'll send something out.
If anybody ever asks me to say it again, it's probably not possible.
Yeah, I'll watch the recording.
It's just like magic on the fly, you can't bottle that up. It's just too magical, right?
Yeah.
All right, are you asking about the potential buyer, Angela? Interest rate way too high? Do you want me to do that?
Yes, sure. So we have a potential buyer and this buyer says, interest rates are way too high right now. I am going to wait to buy. What do you say, Mr. Rick Sullivan?
What interest rate would you feel comfortable buying at? Because one of
anyone ever said that? I haven't, and I can't wait. I don't even want to buy it, but I'm like, I just can't wait to see it. I'm like, Jesus. Okay, I'm sorry.
You were cracking me up.
I love scripts. I've built my whole sales up for the last 20 years off scripts. I love them. Okay.
Two answers is going to come out. It's going to be a number that's reasonable, and then you can suggest buying down the loan, or it's a number that's so unreasonable, you're going to say, I just want to tell you, I don't think we're ever going to get to that number. But let me tell you a couple of the advantages of buying now. We can buy the rate down a half a point or a point, but the longer you own, the longer you're building equity in your home. And if you feel that you've owned it for a year, 2 years, and now rates come down, you can refi at that lower rate, but you're already ahead of the game with the equity that you've earned and the tax write-off that you've gotten.
I love it. Well, because the idea is that prices may continue to go up, right? And if you lock into a house, you can always adjust the rate later. And I think, you know, really important, I think, for everybody to notice, a lot of our proper rate lenders are saying that when they have conversations with the buyers they're working with, they say, look, let's get in and get this house. You know, you're not married to this rate. We're just in this rate until things adjust. But then you've got the house that you love, and we'll move you into a better mortgage payment. So
that is part of the conversation is, you know, your overall quality of life. You know, do you want to remain in that rental building where it's loud and people generally don't care for the space? Or do you want to be in a space that it's generally quieter, it's generally where people are more respectful?
Yeah. I mean, it's like you've got to jump in at some point. So sticking with buyers, we have kind of a slightly different scenario. It's one that we've really kind of seen for, you know, this past year. And I'm wondering if, you know, as things loosen up a little bit, it might get better, but we are still seeing where current buyers who have lost out on a few properties and feel really deflated, and they want to wait to buy until there's more inventory. What kind of conversation would you have as a, you know, if you have this buyer that you're working with right now?
Well, the first thing you have to do is support that, because if you push them right off the bat, that's not going to work. But I would say, I totally understand how you feel. I do think let's take a couple weeks and just relax for a second. But what I want to do over this 2-week period is let's regroup and think about the things we can do to be more competitive, because I think we're losing out in a couple areas, and I'm going to work on coming up with some ideas, and I'm going to circle back with you. The reason I keep saying that is if I come up with my ideas right on the spot and I'm pushing them on the spot, they're going to feel pressured. It's not going to work. I'm going to wait my 2 weeks, and then I'm going to come back with, hey, there's something called a level 3 pre-approval. And with proper rate, we can actually get a pre-approval that's generally almost fully underwritten. So your position is going to be much better right off the bat. Is there a place we can lock in to get a little bit more on the down payment? Do you think we could get a gift from someone in the family? You know, just come up with some strategies that's going to make our offer stronger. Hey, I've got some ideas on our actual offer, what we're going to do. We're going to put the closing date as per the seller. We're going to make the tax prorations 100%. So you're going to do a handful of things to make your physical offer stronger, but we don't want to bring all those ideas up right away. We're going to give it 2 weeks. We're going to come back with all these ideas, try to get people excited again, and then go. And remind people, okay, you want to renew your lease and you did renew your lease? That's fine, but subleasing your place is always an option. And there are a lot of bargain hunters come out in late November through December. So for you to have an opportunity to take advantage of a seller that doesn't want to sit on a property till April, let's think about December.
Awesome. Oh my gosh,
Instead of
so many good
waiting
ideas,
for-
right? I love that, and I feel like when all these buyers are like losing out on these deals, sometimes they question how good their agent is, right? And like
100%.
unfairly. And so your ideas are so good because you're coming back and you're proving your value over and over with creative new ideas. So I really, really love those ideas, Greg.
This might seem like I normally never say this because I think it's so simple, but I'll throw it out there. You need the other agent to love you, and you need the other agent to love your client. So if you know you're going in a competitive situation, those buyers have to do their acting job at the showing. And they have to love that place more than anything, and they should not be nitpicking anything. They can nitpick later after we win it. And you have to show how much you are respectful of the agent and the property. And then it's okay for you to say to a listing agent, I need your help on this one. We've lost out on 4 properties. I need you so badly. I'm begging you. Tell me what I need to do. I'll do it. I will bring this thing home for you. With you drive the ship, I'm right there with that. Works sometimes.
Work
And
for me.
posturing to like try to push your deal through a multiple offer, absolutely not. You should be begging.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Hey, we do have one question in the Q&A from Sarah Norval, and I wanted Rick you to weigh in on this. Do you always need to leave room in an offer, or can you go in best and final from the beginning?
I love that. And here's the thing, a lot of times that is the best strategy. So it's different in a multiple offer. I'll do it two different ways. I love coming in with your best offer, and I also, escalation clauses are not what they used to be. So you're going to come in 2,000 higher than the next offer or 5,000 higher than the next offer. It's almost the same number. So there's too many other things at risk in your offer to just use an escalation clause. If you came in guns and blazing with your 30,000 over ask and your 100% tax proration and your closing date as per the seller, and you're not going to ask for any inspection credits, they love you right off the bat because you're showing them you want this place. So I do love that strategy. I've used it often. And another strategy where that can work is there's a place that's 800,000, your client's only pre-approved to 780. Don't come in at 750 and try to negotiate it. Come in at 780 and say, this is highest we can comfortably go. This is what we're approved for. We're coming in with our highest and best. And a lot of times the listing agent and the seller will respect that instead of trying to get to 780 the long way. Just go there.
Love it. Love it.
That
So
worked for me
somebody
too.
coined it really well and said, we have Rick
One of our
more
agents.
often on the calls. We all learn so much just hearing him talk.
You can only
You know
do
what
it in
that
the
means?
morning when I've had coffee, this much coffee, because I'll sit here and talk to you until 12 o'clock right now.
You're coming back, Rick. That's what that means.
Sounds good. I can do it. I want to leave everyone with the tip. The fact that you took time out of your day to come to this Accelerate, I want to leave you a tip. And you mentioned QR codes. Do you know you do not have to flip the QR code straight up to read it? So the next time you're at a table in a restaurant and the QR code is just sitting on the table, you just put your phone on it no matter what angle you're at.
Get ready
and
to
the QR
write
code
this
will-
assignment
You don't have
down.
to touch that thing anymore.
It's
70
gonna
other
be
people have
ours.
touched that thing.
That's quite the great tip. I love it. And we'll take a picture of the QR code. That's what I was doing for the longest time. I would just naturally take a picture and send it to the site. Well, awesome. Let's review homework really fast before we jump off here. Let me share our screen. We've got some great homework for all y'all. Angela, you want to go over that?
Yeah, I was just looking, we have one more question in the Q&A too. Do we have time, Amy?
Sure. Rick, you got a minute or two?
I got time. I'd be here till noon.
Okay.
Sarah says, I have clients that are wanting a deal because they said interest rates are so high. How do I keep them from lowballing every home that's been on the PLN or one day on the market?
Yeah, I just think I would say to the client, I really have to manage your expectations and the seller's expectations. Like all we're really doing is spinning our wheels. So if you're looking for a deal, we have to choose a higher inventory market, or we really have to wait until a slower time, like end of November, December, early January, when there's a better chance you might find a more desperate seller. But if it's a prime property in a low inventory market, I just have to tell you, it's not going to work. And continuing to try to do this, it's really just a waste of your time. You have to be honest with them and just go there.
Yeah.
Like giving them the options of higher inventory areas or a different time of the year, at least they have some hope. And there might be a time though, you have to stop working with that client. And a lot of times people will really pay attention when you say, I'm sorry, but I just can't continue. I don't think we're a good team. I just can't continue working with you. Then the buyer's like, whoa, wait a second. That's pretty incredible that they don't even want to work with me. All right, let's try a different strategy.
Love it.
Love that.
That
I know.
script is
All
on
right.
page 2.
So homework. So due by August 24th, you guys are going to create a list of common seller or buyer objections that you faced maybe recently or in the past that you struggled with, and you're going to write out responses to them. You will share these responses with the people in your accountability group in your next meeting. And we will remind you to continue to write 2 note cards and make 5 calls each weekday. And remember to update your CRM. Now, maybe we can even get some of these objections answered by Rick at some point too, if you guys.
And we're done with that. I really would love to know. You know, techie.
You did it.
You want to clap for me? It's fine. Thank you, Leslie. It's the little things. Hey, Drew, we didn't see you on there. So actually, I'm going to, how many of you actually watched the Coffee with Kevin and Amy this week? Did you? Good. I'm glad you didn't. Your role playing with your accountability group is going to come from that. Kevin kind of was in that same vein with, so I will send it out today. Yep, I can do that. I will send it out today. And with your accountability groups, remember that group that you love? No, I really want you all to get together because I will be meeting with you probably the rest of the, what is it, September? At least 2 of the next 3 months, your group will meet with me. We'll go back to doing it with me meeting with you guys. So this might be your last time meeting with your group without me being present. So that's going to be your thing. You can certainly talk about your objections you deal with, but it's going to be kind of scripting, preparing yourselves and working within your group to go through that. So you're going to have, you guys with me on that?
Yep.
We do that. The questions, comments really quick. We do have like 4 minutes. Johanna, Drew, or Holly, you guys can chime into anybody questions, comments from the scripts, the training that Rick just did.
One of the things I really liked is that they sent notes back out. I think I take my notes, but to kind of hear some of the verbiage he used, and it sounded a lot of agreeing with them and hearing them, and then coming up with a plan, and then validating what they said with options.
Not being pushy, because I don't do good with people being really pushy, but being direct and being very confident. Yes. Anybody else? Comments, questions on that, what we heard? Anybody comment? Did you have
I also
something?
like that he said, if you go in with, you want to help them, you'll always be right. It'll always come out right if you have the
The intention behind it, not worried about, not worrying and focusing on the money.
Yep.
Do you guys think, just in general, the Zooms for Accelerate being where you can't see each other, do you guys think that would still be fine? Because theirs are all like webinar style like that, so you can't see who's on, you only see the presenters.
I'm not in love with that. To be honest. Yeah.
I know, I was like,
It feels personal.
you guys don't have to see.
Yeah.
I would probably be like, hello?
I
Hello?
literally said I wanted to sit here because I wanted to stare at people, like, 'cause I can see everything.
I was like, I wouldn't be worth a darn trying to like, hello? Like, Andy, are you there? I need to see you. So yeah, that's one thing I don't know that I can let that be. I think I'll have to change that from them. So thank you for that it's not just me. That makes me feel a lot better. Because I think you get lost when you don't see. It's not just me. Thank you.
Feel like you're part of the group.
Yeah. I love it. I need to see those faces, at least a name. Geez, a box with your name, like, oh, that's Alicia. She's in there somewhere. Okay, did you feel like the scripts could be helpful for some of the things, guys? Like, yes.
Yeah.
For some of the things. Guys, I want to close with this. I really love you guys, you know that, right? And I'm not one to hammer down high beliefs, but I just can't say enough how scripts, when practiced and learned and then becoming your own, are so helpful, because then they're not saying no to you, they're saying no to the person you invite. They're telling Rick so, but when there's a proven success system, I just love to adopt it and get results quicker instead of trying to pedal my way out. And I know that some people do prefer to find their own way, but I really hope that you will find this. I know I can't wait. I've already started using it. Some of it may just be a word or two that you just weren't saying, and it's like, wow, that's the little thing. The interest rate thing, I am gonna ask one person to share which one was their favorite one, but the interest, I had a couple, but that interest rate thing was a big deal for me, because it's what buyers, to ask them, what interest rate are you looking for? Because I don't even think people know.
And it's so funny too.
I don't even think they know. It's a moving target. And you guys know I'm the queen of the art of questions, right? When you ask people, and not in a condescending way, but literally like, tell me, what interest rate are you looking? Because sometimes that's when they're like, oh crap, what am I looking for?
Yeah, because it's kind of stuck in their head that they're waiting for 2.5 again. And then it's like, kind of like they sound stupid saying it.
Yes.
Because they can hear it themselves. Like,
Yes.
That's probably not.
Like, that's
We
not.
have time for that baby five. It's like, it's a bad deal. I think I need to go apply for much more. Back when you're like, I think you're fine.
You wanted a
First favors, I had a 25-year-old client that balked at 3.2 last year because his money got 2.85 like the week before.
Yeah.
And I told him to call his mom and ask for the interest rate on the house he could go in. That's what I knew his mom.
Yeah.
She says 14. I shouldn't be worried about this shit. I'm like, no.
Yeah, I love that. That was a good one. Amanda.
Literally yesterday, I had a client reach out, he's a doctor at IU. He goes, I think we're just gonna wait till December, because then my colleague, who's a doctor, said interest rates have skyrocketed and I'm definitely coming down in December. I said, whatever. I said, I think that maybe you should talk to your trusted lender or your bank to get their facts. I said, why don't we leave the saving lives to the doctor and they'll stop the money? And he was just like, no, he's like, I totally agree.
Oh, Amanda. Let that doctor say lives and we'll worry about it. I love it.
But that's how much of that, it's just like how much of that is going around. And
Yeah.
it's so-
It's a lot, but until you start to ask questions and let them hear how silly they sound or whatever, it kind of works. And lastly, you guys keep in mind, because we can get bogged down too. We're humans. We can get frustrated. Some of the buyers that you were working with before that were looking while the interest rates were low, the interest rates have been up high long enough. We've got a new wave of buyers coming in, so make sure you're not carrying that same, oh, woe is me, like heavy trotting mindset into this new season. Some of these people, they weren't looking when it was 4%, 5%. They're entering the market now, and this is what it is. So make sure you're not carrying that over. Does that make sense? Because sometimes your actions can just expect, oh, I'm sure they're gonna have a problem. So just kind of make sure you're doing a little check with yourself to make sure you're not expecting negative things, you're not carrying that in, okay? Well, you guys, I'm glad you enjoyed. I hope you had fun reading through this. I will get your homework clarity on your homework assignment. Don't go look at the Coffee with Kevin and Amy yet until I already send it out. Because together, you're gonna look at it before you guys meet next week, but you guys are gonna kind of discuss the things he's talking about. All right?
Yay!